Yeah.
You hear sounds on that. Like today, it's cold and sun was we are live.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the continuation of the public hearing for the Northborough Community Preservation Committee. It's January 29, 2026, and we are in conference room B at the Town Hall. Tonight's purpose is to review the FY 2027 Community Preservation Act Fund applications. This meeting will be conducted live, as you can see, but also via Zoom. Please note that there is an option for remote attendance or participation, and we will have public comment if needed. To participate in the public comment portion of the meeting, if you're watching on the live stream and you'd like to participate, I encourage you to go to the town website under committees, Community Preservation Committee, and look for the agenda, and there you'll find the link to go on either the live video participation or by phone. I would like to confirm that we have a quorum, and if I could, I'm going to ask for a verbal confirmation of who's here, starting with you, Ray.
Ray Carlson,
Jeff Leland.
Leslie Harrison,
Sean Durkin.
Millie Milton,
Todd Helwig.
And I'm John Campbell, and we're joined by Lori Connors, town planner, and Pat, our media expert. Excellent. So the purpose tonight, or in our agenda, is to hear from applicants and or discuss the three main applications that we have before us. And should we feel comfortable with the information and come to consensus that it's time to vote on recommendations, we will look at the budget and determine how we look versus that. We'll also talk about the obligations that we have under the law and in practice for the other items that will go to town meeting. But first, I would like to have a consideration of minutes from our last meeting, January 8th. Any comments or corrections by any member?
Move to approve.
And a motion to approve from Todd and a second from Jeff. Is there any other discussion? Minutes? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
The record show it is unanimous of the 7 members present. Thank you. Right. Okay, moving on, the first application we're going to consider is the window restoration and preservation at the Northborough Historical Society building. And we have representatives from the Historical Society with us. Thank you very much for coming. And you've got good news.
Yeah, very much good news.
Tell us about it.
Well, if you scoop to the attachment 3, Rev 1, I think it's a summary of where we stand on all of the contractors that we've gotten, what we've reached out to and the bids that we've gotten since our last meeting that we're here in early December. And the numbers have come down pretty dramatically, which is very good.
Great.
So we have met with 2 of these contractors. We have not been able to get Heritage Restoration to visit. And the quote that they gave us was it had a little bit more
Gray area.
gray area is a good way to say it, yeah. Because they couldn't come out and actually see the windows. So we got essentially 3 additional quotes from the original one we had, which was $331,000. That was the high one we had back in the last time we were here was early December. And we're recommending new outlook And their bid is $212.70, $760, $212,706. And this contract came out and spent quite a bit of time with us. Two of the representatives came out. And we went through pretty much every window. And so we felt very confident in their price and their approach. And it's detailed in the attachment that I've also included in the, I think it's Appendix 1. We'll have a breakdown of their estimate and also the scope of work that they're proposing, which is quite a bit of detail. And it shows a lot of what we were asking them to do. So they took good notes and really listened to what we were trying to tell them. So it's not the low bidder, but as I mentioned, Heritage Restoration did not come out, and he gave us a quote, but we couldn't get it to come out, so we felt there was a little bit more possibility of the number not being a strong number. And then the bottom one, he came out, but he didn't seem to have a lot of the technical expertise I think we were looking for. I think he does a lot more. He didn't want to even take the windows out. He wanted to do everything on a ladder. At first, he wanted to just do the outside. So anyway, we feel that the 212 number is a strong number from New Outlook, and it's the one we're recommending.
Ask a question.
Yeah, I'll open it up to the committee, please feel free.
Did you have an opportunity to check references?
We have some pictures of stuff they've
Okay.
done.
Alright.
If you, by the way, if you go to, well, it's not on the hard
Yeah,
copy.
these are on it, there's not enough for everybody, but there's 3.
If you, on the electronic version, there's a hyperlink that will send you right to their website, and there should be a lot of detail there on the projects. I mean, they've certainly done, I've looked over what they've shown on their website, and there's a lot of projects there that shows several. I mean, they don't break it down into, a text with, we did 50 windows at this one or 50 windows, It's more of, but there's a lot of projects that they have. Yeah.
Did they ease your mind on man lifts or scaffolding or
Yeah.
that?
Of course. Yeah,
So they'll handle
it's gone. It's
Great.
yeah, we're very,
That was a big deal.
yeah. And it's another factor why we're not going with Cleary, the original one that we had.
Church windows.
And I assume they're insured and all that stuff, that was,
Yeah.
so we didn't have to go to private insurance or anything on that.
No. Right,
Right.
Same. But you haven't talked to any other place they've done, like you haven't talked to any of those.
no, we have not actually, no, that's right, that's correct. I mean, if that's an issue, obviously, so. But I would say, they spent quite a bit of time with us. And just from the banter back and forth, it was obvious that they knew pretty much what was going on, what we wanted. A lot of times they sort of finish our sentence when we say, well, we'd like to have you want the this and that added. We're like, yeah, that's what we want. Like, yep, we do that all the time. So I don't know. I certainly got the sense they know what they're doing.
We took their bid, we added 5,000 for the broken glass. We don't know, we know there's
Boy,
at least 40 paint broken, it's $19 a square foot. And most of the paintings are more than a square foot, they're big. We added that in a 10% contingency, so. It should be less.
To me, the most significant thing you're saying is that you felt comfortable.
No,
Give you a sense of they knew what the job was. obviously provided some
Yeah,
some evidence of their experience. And
right.
any idea how long they've been in business doing this kind of thing?
It says,
Not that long, surprisingly. It wasn't on the list that we had, that we downloaded from the state. I don't know the date for that list, but, I don't think they've been in business for.
I thought it was like 10, 12 years.
Been so good.
I think.
You might have experience of hiring workers, things like that, and trust your gut, you get a gut feeling, or
Yeah.
based on, you know, based on content, but still.
A few that actually came out and looked, measured,
Yeah.
saw what we were talking about. You know, you get a little queasy when somebody says, I'm gonna do 25 windows, they're all the same, but the upper sash is 7 feet tall. It's a big window.
Give you a sense of timing, schedule to get it done?
We kind of went over that, we told them that at best, the money would be available, first of July. And they seem to be, we'll get on it right away. It wasn't up to 12 to 16 weeks, well,
Something like that.
they would be pretty much done. We were telling them, we don't really meet, although the building is used and rented, we don't meet for the summer. And if they could kind of get it completed sometime prior to when we first started meeting, and we said, yeah, that's certainly something we can get. But, we can work towards.
So there'd be minimal interruption of your
Yeah,
purposes.
The museum itself is closed for July, August. Because it's too hot up there for my air conditioning. They gotta get them all done. Those are the big windows, those are the hard windows. That's where a lot of the money is, because they're big windows. Get that done. The others they could do one at a time, or 2 on one side, 1 on the other. The other two are not prices.
plus they're gonna include, they include storms too. Right?
Replacing the storms that were there
Um,
on the first floor windows.
so. That's enough.
Yeah, that's a good point, so it's a complete apples to apples comparison between Cleary and these
Yes.
folks in terms of everything they're doing.
Yes. I mean. There's a lot of detail on what they provided here, it's probably beyond.
Yeah.
What we're gonna do tonight, but if you're interested, I mean, certainly they break it down. Pretty detailed and hit a lot of the high notes that we told them we wanted them hit. And the things like replacing the chain,
It's all on that proposal.
right, it gets into a lot of detail. There's a lot of that stuff that we were telling them we want. It's in here, which is good. So he's gonna replace, for example, the chains, instead of the ropes with the weights that lift the windows up and down. He's gonna replace them with chain, and that means he has to replace the pulley, so that the chain can flow over the pulley correctly, and that's all part of this. We mentioned that to him, and he was like, yeah, we do that all the time, it's part of what we were gonna probably do anyway. Oh,
Well, a lot longer lasting than the ropes.
yeah,
You understand, if you're awarded the money, it'd be subject to a funding agreement with the town. I can't recall that you had that in past projects, but it's standard practice, at least minimum. And,
the agreements between us and the town, not the contractor.
well, you have your quotation and agreement with them is
Okay.
your own business. You're a private entity. And that, for that reason, every CPA award that is to a non-town entity needs an agreement with the town just for security of how the project is run. And then your number one responsibility there is to provide status report at the time that you're looking for another payment. And notice they have a progress payment schedule. So there's a starting deposit, says when they pick up the first windows, and They're looking for progress payments. It shouldn't be very difficult for you guys to, whether it's
So-
photographs or in writing, and then you send that to Lori, ultimately goes to the
Okay.
town finance department to get you the money.
As far as the contract goes that we sign, is that something that you need to see, approve, or is that on our notice?
It'll get sent to you from the town and you'll have.
I was talking about the contract.
As far as this, no, we're. What you put in your application, as far as including their proposal. And, at this point, it's up to you to give us your confidence that you think it's.
Yeah.
The right agreement, and then, the details are up to you.
Okay.
But, yeah, so that's your business, and then the town giving you the money is the town's business. Kind of boilerplate stuff, it's not complicated. Any other questions?
Thank you.
So,
Yeah, that's
I
great.
think what we'll do after each agenda item is ask if anyone on the Zoom has comment, and just give a moment if that's the case. And seeing and hearing none, we'll move on. Excellent job,
Thank you.
when you can save 30+%.
Yeah.
It's a deal. It's pretty solid. Making it made it easier to make it work.
Thank you. So I have some extra copies, is it, is it worth,
I would love one for the file.
you want the red line or,
I've got the red line, so just a clean.
just the green? Yeah, absolutely.
I expect we'll make our determination tonight, and we can let you know.
Okay, great.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for the extra effort. So we move on to the next item, which is the Lake Street Park and Streetscape improvement, which Lori has talked about forever. Any anything new to add?
We do not have anything new to add. So as you know, the reduced cost was derived from switching type of fencing. So instead of doing the granite posts with the split rail, now it's the black aluminum fencing. Specific design to be determined. And then instead of doing the vertical granite curb, this would be vertical concrete curb. So better than asphalt berm, not as good as granite. But certainly aesthetically pleasing.
Talked about. Assuming we go forward, we talked about the beta helping with additional imagery and some things to, first of all, show the new fencing, if you will. Clarify the area a little better, clarify the zones of paving. Try to put in some realism as far as, telephone poles that remain and so on and so forth. Based on comments we heard from other communities. So that by the time of town meeting presentation, if we're going to show any imagery that we have, something as realistic as possible. And they told you they would try to cooperate with that.
They did. So they wanted to wait to see what options you wanted to go with, whether you wanted to go with the concrete and the black aluminum fencing or not. So they only want to update those renderings one time. So they're waiting to hear from me as to what your decision was, one way or the other.
So, let's get a comment, if you would, anybody's opinion, first of all, on the fencing change. Basically, we've already had a couple of picture examples. Does anybody think that's significant? benefit or detriment. I mean, we're trying to help both cost and make it a true barrier. So that one could say, you're gonna cross the tracks and try to climb that. Most likely nothing happens.
Yeah, I'm all in favor of them. If that's changed.
What about curbing? Anybody have a particular opinion on whether that matters?
I'm a purist of the granite, but I forgot what was the cost difference again?
Yeah, so the,
50,000.
Yeah.
I think it was a $46,000 difference.
So help me, and I know I should know this, but the complete streets part of the project versus this part, will the complete streets part have granite, like, they will not be consistent, right? Because complete streets could do the granite.
They're doing the granite.
So within this one area, we're gonna have inconsistency.
So right in front of, or alongside, I should say, 4 West Main, there is a section that is this monolithic concrete curb. So it would be consistent with that section. A piece of that section is going to be removed in order to put in an ADA compliant ramp. So that would be granite, but the rest of it would be.
Do you think anyone really would notice significantly?
I don't, because to tell you the truth, I didn't even remember that there was a monolithic concrete in front of that 4 West Main Street section. So I noticed it on the online maps. So. I don't think people really notice. I mean, you go up to the Northborough Crossing all the time. It's the monolithic concrete. I think it looks good.
I mean, if it's not your front walk, I'm not sure you are looking down the curve so much, you know, it's to me, it's the bigger picture project.
Dazzle so much with everything else, and the last thing we look at is the curb, but you know.
Now, in general, if the project were to go forward, the curbing would be fairly late in the string of things, wouldn't that be the case?
They will pour it at the same time as the sidewalk, so it actually would be pretty early in the process. So usually they do the sidewalks and the curb as one of the first steps.
It'd be after all the digging and stuff.
Yes, because they have to saw cut the pavement
Right.
in order to put in those islands. So that's the first step, so they demolish what's there, and then they put in the curb with the sidewalks, and then they catch around it.
I asked you once about timing of things. I was thinking of things people might bring up, questions that might come up, objections, and one was, you know, the most visible thing people see in Blake Street would be during Apple Fest. Very busy, very popular, and I asked, you know, is there a chance if it went forward that you get to a point, at least in the work, where Apple Fest could remain, since it's, you know, majority of it is back down the road and so on. Just weren't sure because obviously it's hard to know when exactly work would start.
Yeah, so it would not occur at all during this year, so it wouldn't start until 2027.
Oh, okay.
And then, of course, we'd have to work with contractor. We'd have to identify the contractor first, and then, make sure that we mention that up front, so they can work around it. And chances are the park will not be in good shape at that point. But the parking lot, the disturbance to the parking lot is kind of minimal.
Right.
And usually the last thing that's done is the landscaping, so You know, chances are it won't be pretty, but
Could still
it's still be there.
blocked off if necessary.
And I mean, I love having the street fair there, but for a couple of years it was out on because of was it the railroad tracks they were working on. It was some big project a bunch of years ago where street fair was moved out on. 10,
Yeah.
15 years ago, it was. Do you remember? Definitely was not at Blake Street, or at least one.
I didn't know why, I remember that.
Yeah.
I didn't go.
I know, I didn't, I didn't either.
That's sort of like.
But some people say it was better because it was, you know, it was more
More
open,
space.
but no, I like the downtown feel,
Yeah.
but I just wanted to mention, it's not, I don't think it's an absolute deal breaker.
But if you're talking about calendar year 27, you know, work could begin in the spring even, so.
Yeah, it really does depend. Like a lot of times, it's weather dependent. If we're getting snow in April, then chances are they're not gonna start until May. And then it depends on what other projects they have going and, but it's not a huge project, so. Can't imagine that it would take very long to do these things, but I can't say for sure one way or the other, it's too many unknowns at this point.
The project is in 2027 because the street work is next year or this year.
Yes, the street work is this year, and I just wanted to, I figured I'd share my screen so that you can see what the monolithic curb looks like today. So that will remain. There will be an ADA ramp approximately at this point. You can see, oops, it's weird to look at that and look at this at the same time. You can see where the granite curb starts. So the difference between the two is pretty subtle, I think. And you can look across the street, it's all berm. So it will look a lot better than it currently looks.
Yeah.
But it will be missing that big puddle, I mean, that would be. So. I'm worried about town meeting. And I think it's gonna be a huge contentious discussion. And I know the funding source is different, like I know all the reasons why it's different, but the other aspect that I am, I guess, coming around to a bit is for West Main Street. And doing this before we know what's gonna happen for West Main, and especially since you just mentioned that the work's not gonna start till 27. Why not wait and do this for next year CPA funds? Is there an interaction between the complete streets and this project, or can they be? Could you still do that street work and then hold this off till next year?
So the goal for the complete streets work is to go out to bid in March. So of course. I mean, maybe we could go out to bid. The challenge is the further along you are in the fiscal year, then the contractors have their projects planned out for the year. And so the prices go up and there isn't as much competition, so you don't hear from as many vendors if you're later on. But I mean, we could try it. I did years ago go out to bid in October one time. Of course, the project came in $1 million over budget estimate, so we declined it and ended up going out to bid again in February. Made some design changes, and it ended up being on target the second time we went out. So it is possible to try it, and then if the bids come in good, then we could just go ahead and start construction over the summer on this piece. The chance of it being available for Applefest is then less because it wouldn't be able to start construction until July. But possible.
I just, I'm trying, yeah, thinking. Yeah, I mean, I think there is some wisdom to waiting because of before West Main Street, and maybe depending what the use is, maybe they would do something, maybe they would wanna do something with that area, or, but it's town, well.
But I do want to bring out one point, and I don't know if I mentioned it before, but I did do the exercise to see how many additional parking spaces could be accommodated. And because of the shallow width of the park, you could only get a maximum of 2 additional parking spaces, so. You could pave that entire area and end up with 2 additional.
Yeah, no, that was not, that's all been part of this. I guess I'm just bracing myself for town meeting and. Those two things, especially when you said 27, I wasn't sure I was gonna say anything, when you're saying it's not gonna start till 27 anyway. If we waited till next year's CPA, we're only talking about.
Or Main Street is like on.
3 months delay.
It's,
Well, no, because then you're gonna wait till 28.
right,
So, you know, like I said, the most competitive pricing is January. And so the further you go on in the year, so of course, town meeting isn't until the end of April.
Right.
So best case scenario, you're going out to bid in May. And then you're not starting construction until July. So probably what would happen is you get some of the work done. And then it's a mess all through the winter. And then they finish up the following spring. So you have a longer period of time of it being a mess.
Maybe I misunderstood that, I thought you said this wouldn't start until 27, like spring of 27. So if we.
Yeah.
put this in next year's town meeting.
So the way-
the funds would be available July 1st of 27.
Correct, but like I said, you know, you had asked if it could go forward in 26. That was not what I was envisioning. I suspect that the bids are gonna come in too high. I said we could try it, but I'm not really expecting that it will have results that will be beneficial to
Just
the
wanted
town.
to throw it out there, in the conversation. So that's it. Thank you.
You know, no disrespect, when you bring it up or anyone else, my opinion of it is 180 opposite. I don't know why it could not be portrayed as a benefit to a potential occupant of 4 West Main. And those evaluating the purpose of the building, aren't they 99% concerned with the building? You know, what's inside, what can be made of it, what kind of rework needs to be done, and whether a developer perceives it to have the right bones for the development that they think is going to be most profitable ultimately, whether they're leasing it or buying it and so on. And the fact that the town is showing commitment to the revitalization of downtown. This is, you know, one small step for man
Yeah.
going down that path that, you know, improves the outlook for business in the area. Just improves the navigation around the park and the parking. And the fact that Lori's proven we're not losing any parking spaces.
Sure.
You
Yeah, no, that was
know,
nice.
so that I just I see it from the other perspective with regard to that objection. And then the difference between last town meeting, we've been over it, but the scope is reduced, the cost is more reasonable. The complete streets portion was already granted. And now it's being considered under
Well,
CPA,
I totally.
where we have the reserve, so we're not asking for any other free cash or any borrowing. The town and the respective committees that deal with that are free to address all the other financial concerns they need. These revenues and reserves are in place. This is a qualified use of CPA money, so it's another place where the town benefits by using CPA that's been partially state subsidized. So we're dramatically reducing the cost to do this. And now we're meeting the goal of downtown revitalization that we worked toward, that the master plan says we should do, and that many people are in favor. I think if we bring forth those benefits, that's a big part of it. The other thing that strikes me, the more we go through these applications, the 3 main applications we're looking at, they have common benefits to the town. In each case, we're taking a town asset that's well used by town groups, whether it be those that go to Historical Society building for meetings or tours or whatever. They talked about how many come through there. whether it's the ball fields that when revitalized can be used by, not just schools, but the other recreation groups that the recreation director tells us there's demand for. And then there's the downtown that's used by, whether it's used by middle schoolers or by, by adults that hopefully are going to shop and so on and so forth. They're all parks and assets that our town uses now that need, rebuilding and enhancement. And that's what CPA is for. So I think that's part of our presentation this year is we're addressing 3 areas in town that need it. That's the benefit of this. You
fell into my trap a little bit. Which was to hear you justify it. Well done.
Yeah,
So
well
I'm playing devil's advocate. And so,
Can I just mention one other?
and the other part, one other quick thing I want to mention is, in fact, and this made for your speech too, is it can't be the same as last year. You cannot come back. If something is voted down at town meeting, an article cannot come back. You can withdraw it and come back the next year. If it is voted down, you have to wait 2 years to come back. So some people probably don't even know that about town meeting. Anyway, sorry, go ahead. All right.
The detractors will speak
Mhm.
to it, and no matter what it was, there'll be detractors. But I think if we're diligent about explaining the affordability of it, with the CPA reserves, and that's a good purpose for it, people will feel less like it's, taking a bite out of something else. Because that was also part of the, not just that article, but many others. The confusion and the cross purposes of funding, and at that point, people were kind of like, they don't want to pay for anything.
The other thing I wanted to point out is, of course, this building was mixed use commercial for many years and not successful. So it is unlikely that that is the future use of that building. It is more likely that it's gonna be mixed residential commercial. So commercial on the first floor and then multifamily on the upper floors. Multifamily is definitely a high demand in the downtown area, and the rents are very high. So multifamily is very profitable for developers. And also having an upgraded park next door is gonna be appealing for those who are interested in that use. So
Would one of those units be affordable?
it could very well.
Yeah. Awesome. I'm sorry, go ahead, John.
I was just agreeing
Oh.
with my planning director.
Anyway, yes, I agree with everything you said, and thank you. I'm devil's advocate, so.
Any other opinions, likes, dislikes, fears? Is there anybody waiting for public comment? Just checking. As I said I would. Hearing none. We'll move on then to our third project. Which is the Milliken Ball Field restoration. Okay, we're doing very good. Well, good timing. You must have heard us.
Like she was waiting.
Yeah.
Ellen.
Erin,
Aaron, I'm
yeah,
sorry.
that's it.
Okay. Aaron, would you like to speak to your projects briefly?
Sure, so we did send an updated request for pricing. We were able to get a $10,000 deduction in the dugouts. Cutting it in half, so that would be 10,000 per dugout. What's 4 dugouts, 40,000 as opposed to 50. That was from a contract with here in Northborough. So we felt like that still met kind of, the request to really look at that budget, taking it down a little bit, but still providing some adequate dugouts and comfortable dugouts for the students. And the players. So that was submitted, I believe.
So was the reduction the same same design, different contractor, or?
A little bit of a different design, instead of full walls, there'll be half walls, on the sides and the back with poles instead of pitch. So just a little bit different, still providing seating and shading and things like that in a nice space. for them.
No granite curbs, so.
No, what?
And the no granite curbs.
Add those. I think it's kind of-
Dugouts that have a roof,
Yes, a pitch roof.
concrete floor and an aluminum bench.
So the flooring would be gravel. And then one continuous. bench. That was kind of. For cutting cost.
Drainage would be okay, so it doesn't turn mucky, you think, or
Say that again?
drainage would be okay, so that people don't get mucky?
Yeah, I think that would be that's part of redoing the fields and making them level. So I think they felt like. Combining that with the gravel, it would be okay.
Could they keep in mind the height of the roof in case 3 years from now, there's enough money to pour concrete? That you wouldn't lose headroom?
That's a great point that we can definitely bring up.
Because most of the time, we ultimately went to concrete floors in the dugouts,
Yes,
just for the mud and.
yes,
But to do that, you gotta make sure the roof's
the
on.
height,
It's not a very big deal to do it.
okay.
If they didn't do it, and
Actually,
yeah,
You have a height limit on clear.
right.
it'd be good for the kids, but not for the coaches. But
Yeah, I
you
mean, I
could-
think
you
that's
could
definitely
mention that to
something we
the
could mention that and see if that would change anything. I don't think it would. Really change much, but that's a great point.
So you said there's 4 dugouts,
Correct, 2 for each field, so 2 for the baseball, 2 for softball.
and that takes out about $40,000.
Exactly.
And what was the rest? Cause I have like another $30,000 difference between the original price.
Shouldn't be.
294, and then you're at 227.
I noticed you.
No,
it's 267.
The number that, there was an email asking, what the figure was and what you were sure you wanted to go forward with it. And, it looks like you've taken your total of 267, reduced it by 40,000
Yeah,
or 227. But
correct.
that doesn't include your 10% contingency. Is that what did you decide that your numbers were good with the fencing and dugouts that you wouldn't need a contingency?
Keith, can you speak to that?
Yeah, I think we felt pretty confident about where we were, considering the work that Erin has done, and I appreciate her extra efforts. Yeah, we're feeling pretty confident that these numbers are conservative enough, and our hope is to, with, obviously your approval and that of town meeting, that we would quickly go out for procurement and not have to wait too long. So the hope is that we would capitalize on that and not need a contingency to carry. So that was the reason why we were able to dial that into the 227-100 number.
Okay, that makes sense. That's about the 30.
Very good. Thanks for clarifying.
You're welcome.
How do you guys feel about ball fields?
Dugouts.
Okay.
I think it finally makes those fields reach their potential, right, for all the various, or close to the potential for the various sports and constituents.
Plus, as it stands right now, they're unsafe and therefore unusable.
Yeah.
So, just in that regard alone, something has to be done.
Good. Good point. We're all about safety this year, improving safety at all these projects. Totally on. The one, this is not our business, but the maintenance part of it. Down the line, we talked about it, and Sean can speak to this. The fields look great. The first year, so I don't, I just hope that you have the resources. At the end of the day, particularly for the recreational group uses, you need volunteer sweat equity to keep the fields going.
Yeah, I think we do have commitment from ABSA to maintain the softball field. Like we do all the other baseball fields in town.
Oh, really?
The baseball field, I think Keith, we were reached out to, I got an email from Runbirds, which is the club team in Shrewsbury that has been using the fields. So they did reach out to us, kind of asking for availability of the fields and things like that, and they're gonna contact Keith moving forward, as far as rental of the fields.
Plus, isn't the school taking over the facility in general, so there's gonna be some onus on the school to maintain the fields they're
Correct.
using for school teams.
Yeah, that's correct, Sean. Our intent is to work with a potential user group, as well as looking at our resources to make sure we're taking care of the fields and keeping them in proper order for play. Pushing the reset button with this project will certainly give that momentum, and the hope is that we'd carry it through, and really appreciate the youth sports support and the knowing that they're going to benefit from this, but also be a participant in its ongoing maintenance, which we do have that commitment from. So feeling very positive about where we are if we're able to move forward with this project.
Have the schools made any commitment to maintenance?
Yes, well, I mean, ultimately, in order for us to have interscholastic baseball and softball, we are going to need to do that. Yes, we do have that commitment if we are committed to having those teams be active and a part of the Melican offering. So our goal is to take care of it and make sure they're maintained properly.
Well, I think we really appreciate the effort to look at the cost reduction. It makes it more affordable. And seems like the right number for everything you're gonna get done. So. In the short time you've had to present, you've generated a lot of enthusiasm and support, so that's good.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions for? Great, thank you, Keith.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you for the opportunity.
We're gonna give it strong consideration.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Before we get into the dollars and cents, so to speak, I wanted to take a minute for a brief discussion on affordable housing. We don't have a project to consider for that this year, but we will need to make at least the minimum recommendation for 10%. And I wanted to, discuss a couple updates and maybe give Ray an opportunity to get a couple words. I have reached out to Ray Carlson and to Ron Bonney to understand, did we make any progress yet on the Village Drive project that we approved the last town meeting? You want to give a brief update?
We're waiting on a state, basically, is the bottom line. The application is in. We have dotted all the i's and crossed all the t's. We've done things a little differently than we've done in the past when we have looked at projects. Ron Bonney, who is the executive director, now sits on a couple of legislative boards. So his face is at the state level. So he's very visible. Being a small housing authority sometimes doesn't always work to our advantage. So this is one of the ways that we could keep in front of people. The other thing was funding, which is sort of like what Lori talked about when she was looking for vendors. The Northborough Housing Authority, our year end is 12/31, where a lot of the other housing authorities are either March or June. So when they're requesting funds for projects, they're doing it in January and February. But we weren't doing it to the fall, and because we were doing it to the fall, we were way down on the list. So there's nothing that says we have to wait until we're preparing our financials for next year. So Ron just moved the request at the beginning of the year. So we got closer to the top of the list than we have been in the past. So he's there, he's at the state level a lot. The state reps are at the housing authority for virtually everything we do, every event we have, so we are keeping in front of them, and that's really all we can do at this point. We just are waiting for them to release the money. They have given us a commitment and said that they will fund it, but it's just a matter of timing.
Great, thank you. You know, this committee continues to support at every opportunity, creating more affordable housing in town, and I believe we'll speak to it again at this year's town meeting, and we try to make an effort to bring forth what we've done, what's been successful, why it's important to keep it going. We also try to look for ways to spend more of our resources on housing than we have done historically on recreation and open space, which has kind of been the big nut, and to a lesser extent, historical preservation. So, you know, I want us to continue that effort, and it's part of a bigger picture in town. We're just trying to discuss more the need for housing, what affordable housing really is, and try to get better information out, because there always seems to be some that are resistant to more housing, whatever fears that they may have aren't always justified, but I just don't see how you can argue with the fact that people need more affordable places to live. We're trying to box all those people out of Northborough. Well, that would be sad. I don't think that's good. That's it. I'll advance for that. All right. Anybody have any comments on the projects? And if not, let's take a look at our budget, and I'd like to get your guys' feedback on the big picture. Or I think she can put the spreadsheet up on the screen, so we'll get into the 21st century and do it digitally instead of John at the little board where nobody can see it. I add wrong and stuff like that. So going back to earlier meetings of this committee, we heard from Jason Little, our finance director, on what our resources are. And based on his projections of expected new revenue, you know, we are basically awarding funds based on the next fiscal year. So we're expecting $870,000 in new revenue from the property tax surcharge. The only reserve we have in one of the three categories is a historical reserve of $4,242. And then the unreserved fund is those leftover revenues or state match or investment income, which has given us a balance of $998,596. And those funds are not committed to any one category as of yet. So it gives us a resource pool of $1,872,838 from which to deliberate on these projects. I put the requests into the first column, and above that, we added what we believe to be our obligation to bring forth payments of the White Cliffs bond. I think this is the next to the last payment, and through some other refunds, I'll call it, that Jason employs, that number has come down to $132,980 that we would, you know, most certainly bring to town meeting. That happens to, by the way, the 10% minimum per category is 10% of 870, so 87,000 is the minimum number we're working with. And the White Cliffs bond payment satisfies the historical minimum each year we do it. But we also have the Historical Society windows, which obviously then more than exceeds the 10%. We also typically ask for the full 5% of the administrative fund for the business of the committee, things such as legal fees, appraisals, consultants work, and so on. We also pay the coalition dues from that. And unspent administrative funds go back into the unreserved. So those first two things are articles that we would generally bring forward regardless, right? So the other four are the three applications we received for Historical Society, downtown Blake Street Park revitalization, and the Milliken Ball Field renovations. And then if we were to allot the minimum 10% to affordable housing, that would be 87,000. If we were to approve all of those, we're at 1,487,000 versus our total available of 1,872,000. Any questions or comments on numbers from anybody? Committee members feel like we're in a spot where we could approve all the projects? Anybody got any comments, pros or cons?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for speaking. Maybe at one point, you asked about this last time, whether it might have been me or someone else brought up phasing of the project, in particular the Milliken, could we do one this year and one next year? I believe you voiced some.
It's about the windows, but I'm over that.
Fair enough.
I mentioned them all.
Yeah, you know. Any feeling about that kind of thing still, or we feel like we have affordability with all of them?
Portability, and Sean said the fields are unusable, so. That have to be done.
Okay. So we seem to be in a mood to make some approvals. And everybody's in the mood to do that. We can work down the list.
I would like to make a motion for extending the Northborough Affordable Housing Reserve. And I'd extend 500,055 of funding approved at prior town meetings for NAHC Future Affordable Housing Project use until June 30th, 2027.
We did that vote a couple of months ago.
We voted on it, right?
Yeah.
At the December meeting?
You voted on that already?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I'm just voting on the.
Got on the motion?
Sorry, I'm kind of smart. That was saying the low hanging fruit. My participation in the gold star.
Go with administrative.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I'll move to the first. I move we reserve $43,500 from new revenue to the administrative fund.
Second.
Thank you. That one's easy.
Yes.
It's a good save, Andy.
It's C plus on my. Going for the B minus, but no.
No problems in being thorough. Very good. Anybody want to discuss the administration fund any further? Therefore, all in favor of that motion? Aye. The record show we are unanimous. We have 8 of us. 8-0 to approve the 43.5 to the admin fund.
I move that I'm gonna take a stab at the affordable housing. I move that we allocate $87,000, which is the minimum reserve for affordable housing, the absence of any other projects. Minimum
Revenue.
from, new revenue or reserve, or that was.
Second.
Thank you.
Motion by Leslie,
Second.
and second by, was that Sean?
Yes.
And
Now, there have been years where we have rounded that, so. You could consider rounding that to 100,000.
you can't make two motions at once.
you already.
No, you have discussion.
This motion is seconded.
Okay, all right.
Discuss them.
We usually just discuss.
And seconded.
Okay.
Any discussion of amending the motion or not? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion?
Okay,
Very good. It is also 8-0 to approve 87,000 from the
That's right.
Solid B minus.
You get a solid P minus there too. A C plus.
Don't be so hard on yourselves. Very good. So. So new revenue, we're left with 739.5 at the moment. Very good. So you're welcome to have your own opinion on this statement, but it is, I have a gut feel that if we were to approve the Melican and the Wynn Historical, that I would do it from new revenue. With the exception that we can use the historical reserve against the Historical Society. So you'd have the 12, 760 minus 4 to 208. You know, if one were to make that motion, you'd have 208,518 of new revenue.
I'll make that motion. 208,518 for the Historical Society windows for new revenue at 4242 out of the Historical Reserve.
Second. Motion by Jeff, second by Tom. Okay, so for the total of 212,760 for the Historical Society windows. And I'll make a note for the record that they saved us 120,000 almost. And we'll take 208 of new revenue, 208,518 of new revenue, and 42 from the Historical Reserve. Any discussion or comments on the motion?
Amazing. It's a good motion this time, and you know, again, it goes with the whole improvement of downtown area. I mean, it's not such a highly visible one, but it certainly preserves visually beautiful asset in the town.
Yeah, very well used asset, probably.
Town feeling, and it
I'm
is.
always impressed when they tell us how many groups using the other one, been in there a couple times, so.
Plus, I'd like to point out how diligent they've been over the years trying to get this project approved, tighten up their numbers. Sure it works well for, so it's kind of what you want people, applicants to do when they come before us. They spent a lot of time and thought. And revise it when needed, came up with, I think, a pretty good proposal to do something that again has to be done.
Yeah, I agree, much more reasonable number, seems in line with what it should have been. So, they seem happy with themselves too, so.
Yeah.
Very good, any further discussion? Everyone in favor of the Historical Society project? Aye. All in favor? 8-0, thank you. Let's see. Down to 530,982 of new revenue. Anybody want to take a crack at the ball fields?
I move we approve the Melican ball field appropriation of $227,100
Second.
out of new revenue.
Second by Millie?
Yep.
So we've talked that one out quite a bit. Any other discussion of the motion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Excellent. We are unanimous again on ball.
I move that we approve the White Cliffs bond from $132,980 from.
New revenue?
It always has to be.
Oh,
Actually,
Second.
guess it's not accurate. No, it has to be. We
Stick by it.
we
We made
we
mistakes.
It's like, okay,
I bought it. I had no idea whether it was true or not.
And say we're confident.
paying the bill for exam.
But in general, we spend all the new revenue, right? We use all the new revenue and then fall back to, some things we have to use new revenue.
Correct.
But in general, we just new revenue, right?
So, the motion was by Miller.
yeah, was it me?
Sean,
That's me. Plus,
Oh,
I said.
Totally wrong. Leslie and Sean.
Keystone Cops, but yeah.
Sorry. Last year.
I know.
And we can afford it because, we have 170 left, right? You just put it in. So, very good. We have a motion to approve the White Cliffs bond for new revenue. All in favor?
Aye.
We are 8-0 unanimous there too. You guys are easy tonight.
I'd like to move that we approve the Blake Street Park and Streetscape Improvement Project of $783,900 from unreserved funding.
Before you close your motion, do you want to consider using the remaining new revenue and the other from reserve?
Sure, you're gonna make me do math.
Lori's about to do it. Give Lori a second, she's doing it. There you go.
612,990.
So I'd like to amend the motion so that we, I'm really C minus now.
Something of them.
That we
This side of
approve
the
the
table.
Blake Street Park and Streetscape Improvement Project with $612,998 from unreserved and $170,902 from new revenue.
Second.
Is that right?
Yep.
Thanks for the crib notes.
Okay, motion by Andy and second by Todd. And this is Blake. Any discussion of the motion? Any other comment? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Excellent. We are unanimous again. We're spending that money for education. $79, okay, you know,
It's 400,000 reserve.
385, does that make sense?
Oh, that's, yeah. 35.
Sorry. Crossing the numbers. Excellent, good job, I think, as I mentioned, I think all three applications, benefit the town in similar ways, they are affordable from our reserves and revenues. And, I think each has good share of community support. Each is affordable, each shares a certain urgency, meaning a timing. In the case of Blake Street, we discussed about, whether it could be postponed, but the town's invested in consultant time, we've invested in our staff's time. Giving should it be approved, giving planning department time to stage the bids and so on and so forth, and keeping things on track just makes sense to me. Continuing to wait for the what if, that just doesn't add up to me. And, you know, can the historical society keep going with bad windows? It could, but will they benefit the town, or will they save money on energy and so on? They will. The ball fields we talked about, they're unusable now, they're unsafe. So, you know, benefit multiple groups of town that can make use of the fields in a safe manner. And we've added to the recreation department's stock of usable properties, which I know is important to how we.
The Historical Society is on the National Register too.
Listen.
Only two, that and they're not up to the only two. From town or on the National Register.
Very good, so says here. We just need nothing. Thank you all for your diligence and introspection on these things, so I think you do a good job. Under new business, we do have another item to discuss, and I'm going to hand it over to Lori for a little presentation and a request of the committee.
Close the public hearing.
I think we should discuss doing that at the end.
Okay.
You want to talk about putting a date in for another meeting.
Alrighty. So this is something that arose as a topic at the select board meeting on Monday. So this is a project that I've been working on for a while. The grant application, it's Mass Trails grant application. It's actually due on Monday at noon. And what I'm interested in doing is applying for a feasibility study to look at the portion of the B-Wall Trail that extends from essentially the intersection of Route 9 and Otis Street west, approximately parallel to Route 9, and goes just over the town line in Shrewsbury, and would end at Nursery Drive or Walnut Street. So I actually went to the select board meeting on Monday to ask for a letter of support for this grant application. And the select board did unanimously support the grant application. They did provide me with a letter. However, I had originally envisioned providing $10,000 from my contractual services line item that's within the planning budget to pay for a portion of the consultant fee. And then the balance of the match, approximately $4,000, would be in-kind services. So that would be staff time, as well as volunteer time. Like, for example, Brian Belfer is the chair of the Trails Committee, and he agreed to do a site walk with us, provide some advice to the consultants, attend the community outreach workshops and whatnot. And then there's also a gentleman, Don Byrne, who has been super active on the B-Wall in general, but specifically the portion that's in Westboro. So he has made the circuit, gone to various boards and committees in town in Northborough, and kind of drummed up support for this effort. So he went to the select board, the open space committee, the planning board, trails committee. So there is a lot of enthusiasm for this project. But the long and short of it is the select board does not want me to use my contractual services budget. They asked me to speak with you folks to see if this is something that you folks would cover. that $10,000. So they'd rather have that money, the $10,000 go back to the general fund at the end of the fiscal year. So that's why I'm here, to talk to you. And I wanted to give you a little bit of background information about the B-Wall. So the B-Wall is otherwise known as the Boston-Worcester All-Line Trail. So it follows the old trolley alignment, and it extends approximately 12 miles from Framingham to the Worcester town line. And then, as you can see from this map, there are a number of potential linkages to other important regional trails, either existing or proposed. Examples are the Mass Central Rail Line, the Assabet River Rail Trail, Upper Charles Trail, etc. So the red line on this map shows the proposed B-Wall. And there is a spur. There is also the possibility of connecting it to the Aqueduct Trail. So it's pretty exciting. And the portion of the trail that would be in Northborough is approximately 1.3 miles. It's not letting me down here. So it's a proposed regional shared use trail. So it would be a dedicated trail along this stretch. So in some locations, it would run parallel to, it would actually be within the Route 9 right of way, but in other locations, it would be off-road. So like I said, it would extend 12 miles and there's possible spur connections. I'm having trouble advancing. Here we go. So the portion, the reason why it would start at the intersection of Otis Street and Route 9 is because Westboro has fully designed that section of the B-Wall. They would extend from Otis Street through the intersection, and they are currently out to bid to construct it. So that would be part of the overall Route 9 Otis Street roadway and intersection improvement project. So they received 2 grants totaling $4 million from the state to construct that project. So I anticipate that it is going to start construction this spring. I'm not quite sure how long it would take. It's a big project. It might take longer than a year. But the portion that they are proposing to construct would end pretty much going up Otis Street, and it would end in front of the Walmart. So it would be directly opposite the driveway for the Arrive Westboro. So Arrive Westboro is an apartment complex. It's gigantic. It's got over 550 units. So that is a great stopping point for them. And so the idea of the feasibility study is to see what we should do from that point. So back in 2017, CMRPC worked with a group of residents to prepare a concept plan. And then in 2021, the town of Westboro received a Mass Trails grant to do a feasibility study. So they already looked at the complete alignment within the town of Westboro, and their feasibility study ends pretty much where the number 3 is on this map. As part of our feasibility study, I'd be interested in picking up where they left off and bringing it through all the way to beyond 14. So this is a 6-acre parcel that's owned by the town of Shrewsbury. And I have been in conversations with the Shrewsbury Planning Director. I do actually expect a letter of support for my grant application that I submit on Monday. So certainly Westboro's all excited about it. Shrewsbury is at least willing to participate, and I know the planning director had mentioned that prior they had received some residential complaints further on in their alignment, but he didn't see a problem to ending it at the Nursery Drive location. So do you have any questions about this map? No?
Is it strictly a walking path or is it?
No, it would be multi-use. So it could be used for rollerbladers, bicyclists, wheelchairs, runners, pretty much anybody. People
So it's
with
only paved.
dogs.
They paved
It would be paved. That's the vision. So the portion that is going to end at the Walmart is a 10-foot wide paved trail. So it's actually separate from the roadway. So it's kind of like a really big sidewalk. So they got a grass strip in between. I believe it's a 3-foot wide grass strip. And so on one side of Otis Street, they're proposing a regular 5-foot sidewalk. And then on the other section, the opposite side of the street is where the shared use path would be.
And Lori, the Westboro part goes right to the train station, doesn't it? So you could conceivably walk or rollerblade or skateboard to the train station.
Yeah, so when fully constructed, it will go all the way to the commuter rail station. So the portion of it that is going to be built as part of this $4 million intersection improvement doesn't go that far. So it goes a little bit further than the intersection, but not a lot. So
basically we can skateboard to Cold Harbor.
Exactly. Yes, there are all sorts of wonderful.
At least they have their priorities straight.
Yes. There are all sorts of wonderful uses along this stretch. So of course, some key, of course, number one is where you have the McDonald's. Number two is where you have a bank. Number beyond just south of number 4 is where you have the closed down restaurant that's kind of a wreck right now. Then you also have the new Spark. It looks beautiful, a lot better than it used to look when it was the Motel 6. The proposal goes through the Mass Highway maintenance facility, so they have a chain link fence. So the idea is to bring the trail in between that fence, and there's like a wooded area. So through the wooded area, and then they have a lovely driveway that is minimally used. So the idea is to go up the driveway, figure out how to cross Route 20. So of course that's a challenge. So that's why we need this feasibility study.
Okay.
And then follow the old trolley alignment, which I actually walked with John Byrne, and it's still evident. So there are certainly some saplings, some small trees growing along the alignment, but it's less densely wooded than all of the other areas. So it shouldn't be too difficult to clear. And that alignment goes quite a distance until you get to that town of Shrewsbury parcel. So they actually own the alignment from that point forward. So 1.3 miles, not a heavy lift. And then of course we pass the baton to Shrewsbury and then they take it from there. So the hope is that each town will take their piece and make it happen with coordination from the abutting communities. So certainly this project envisions coordination with the town of Westboro and Shrewsbury. And so there is another section of the B Walt that is in Northborough. And that section is over by Chauncey Lake and kind of follows this red line. So you can see it's north of Bartlett Street and ultimately ends up at Main Street. So, but that is not the focus of this feasibility study. So I just wanted to show you that it goes further.
Connectivity.
So some of the benefits of the B Walt when you're looking at your criteria are, of course, this is a shared use path, which is a passive recreation facility. There are a tremendous number of opportunities to connect to existing proposed local and regionally significant trails. It serves a huge number of residents as well as folks from throughout the region. It certainly would expand the range of recreational opportunities available to folks in Northborough. I know folks have wanted a shared use path for a long time, and this would give you one. Also, as you know, in that area, there is no bicycle or cyclist accommodations of any type along Route 20 and Route 9. So you have close to 1,000 people living right along the corridor when you look at Avalon of Northborough and you look at Arrive. So right along this stretch, you have nearly 1,000 apartments. And I know a lot of disabled folks tend to like to live in these types of developments because there are elevators and they don't have to maintain. And so that means that they have to rely on rides to get from here to here to there. But this would provide an alternative for them. So they'd actually be able to use their own foot power or wheel power to get from one place to another. And this problem really became acute, I think, when the O'Connell Lodge was being used for immigrant shelter and for homeless, because you could see the people walking on Route 9, which I thought was a tragedy. It's so sad that they used that facility for that purpose. Wasn't good for families, certainly. So another benefit is, of course, the direct low stress connection between housing and all of these shopping and service, employment centers, and of course the community health station. And then obviously improved health through physical activity, and it could ultimately boost tourism, which is a stated goal in the master plan for Route 9. So these are the support letters that I have thus far. I have a letter from the select board, the planning board, the open space committee, Brian Belford. Unfortunately, I missed the trails committee meeting. They only meet once a month. So he gave me a support letter from himself. Westboro Planning Board, Friends of the B Walt in Westboro as a group, Central Mass Regional Planning Commission, and tomorrow I expect at least one letter from the town of Shrewsbury. So happy to answer any questions.
I think add a little background first. This project goes back at least 5 or 6 years when Kathy Jubert was still there. And the Open Space Committee was involved in talking about it. I believe we considered putting a CPA application in to further this a couple of times and didn't really have the background yet. And now, as Lori described, it's gotten a little more energy, primarily from Don Byrne of Westboro, who just has endless enthusiasm for it. And the select board year and a half ago, voted on a letter to Westboro saying they would participate in joint support. And then, of course, Lori's got these support letters for her feasibility study, and we're being asked to consider a similar letter. So I think you mentioned that you felt like your path was if the feasibility study was to go through, it would queue us up for, a CPA application for the next design phase.
Correct, so of course, Mass Trails always requires a 20% match. So what I would like to do for the design phase is to go to them for 80%, go to CPA for 20%. So that would likely be an application next year. And then the following year, of course, we ideally would be in the position to construct. So that is a big dollar figure. So that would be a couple of years.
Cross that bridge.
So I'm certainly in favor of this. One question though was on because we've talked about the aqueduct and the bridge and using the money for the trail there, presumably going north to the Mass Central and Burlington.
Right.
And I think we got stopped from paving or doing anything on top of the aqueduct, or the actual earthen part, not the bridge necessarily. I guess the question is, is that still a thing we're thinking about? Are we diverting, is this gonna divert resources from that? Is this the priority? Is that the priority? That's the question.
Yeah, you bring up a good point, and of course, we are finally making some progress after being stalled for 2 years. We are finally making some progress with Stantec engineering on the design. What they did find is that the bridge is not structurally sufficient to handle a paved surface. So they're looking at some sort of alternative surface. It could be stone dust. They're looking at that right now. So that's a conversation, certainly. Maybe that one is the priority. I've been waiting so long, so I kinda, it's in the back of my mind. But I think important, the feasibility study, go forward with that, and then we can evaluate amongst ourselves, certainly with the Open Space Committee and the Trails Committee, to determine which project's the priority. You can apply for Mass Trails money for 2 projects in a given year. But of course, that's a huge burden for the 20% match for 2 projects. So chances are we go forward with one and not the other. But maybe we do design construction for one and then design construction when the other one is complete.
Well, when you spoke to us at Open Space, you were talking about letting the aqueduct bridge continue to play out and not go back and push for, more input on doing something else, because we remember there was going to be another CPA application for the trail along the aqueduct, and the Open Space Committee pulled it back because there was resistance at the MWRA from that. Now, fellow Don Byrne is given encouragement that could be revisited again. But your point was, we're working on the bridge, we're finally making progress, so let's let that play out. And in the meantime, you can continue with feasibility on this, and the connectivity goal is clear, where you'd have this union of communities could potentially get on the aqueduct trail, and that's what gives the connectivity potential to go up to the Mass Central Rail Trail and so on. And seems to be a lot of mutual interest in those kinds of things, encouraging walkability and connectivity. It's expensive, so I don't know how it will get funded going forward, but it seems a good idea to take this baby steps, so to speak.
How, in that vein, what's the shelf life of a feasibility study?
Well, in Westboro, of course, they did the feasibility study in 21, and they're just now. So what they've been doing in Westboro is kind of approaching sections as the opportunity presents itself. like they ended up building a section that is along Chauncey Lake. Because they could get the developer to construct it for them, so they designed and built it. And then, of course, this opportunity presented itself for the intersection of Otis and Route 9. It was a project that they wanted to do anyway, so they just tacked on the shared use trail as part of an intersection improvement project, so we could do the same thing, you know. Of course, the Spark, that could have been negotiated for him to provide the alignment along his property when he was before the town for approval for the improvements that he did at the motel. So that's kind of a lost opportunity, although the property owner I have spoken with him and he is open to having the alignment through his property. But he wouldn't pay for it, you know, so this is something that we'd have to pay for, so. I think it would benefit us to do the feasibility study and, I mean, of course. That will have cost estimates within it. And the cost estimates generally, you know, the change in inflation is maybe 3 to 5% per year. So you take that into account, if it takes 5 years to get to the design phase, then, and then even longer to get to construction, then those cost estimates aren't gonna be very accurate, but the design considerations will still be the same.
When you talk about the match, is that state money? Where does the rest of the money come from?
It would be town money. So the request is, would you folks be willing to put admin funds towards this project, should we get the grant? So that would be $10,000. And then the balance is in kind, so it's not actually cash, it's my time and services.
It says admin money from what's in the account now.
How much is there now?
There was 38,000, but we had voted in July to use admin funds for the White Cliffs consultant for the preservation restriction. And his bid has come in just under 10,000.
Yes, 9,800.
So we have somewhere around 28,000 something.
28,700.
Between now and, is there an expectation that there'd be another White Cliff ask for something at this point in time?
Not from the admin money this year, from what we can tell. Might there be future CPA stuff that's
Yeah,
still,
no, I'm just talking about the admin fund right now. They're gonna
Yeah.
come back and say we need, another survey or XYZ
No.
that would be.
the town administrator had estimated it could be as much as 20,000, and that was the number we heard, and we agreed to that the admin would fund it, let them see what it costs, and so it's coming quite with us.
Yeah.
Which is good.
I mean, in the negotiations is going forth, is there? Like, if we're gonna fund this, then you're at 19 or 18. And if they came with oh yeah, we have this another $25,000.
You know, there's been a couple of legal fee things that they applied for the admin funds. I would say, is it possible that should the White Cliffs negotiations keep going, that they'll ask, can we apply certain thousands of legal fees? But I don't think it's gonna come up to 10 or 20. Just a hunch. I know there's a couple things that the finance director has asked me about. Things that he could apply to the admin fund, and I've looked at it and said, wait a minute, were they talking about something that was a CPA or they weren't? Okay, well, no, but when I talked about, something with regard to furthering the White Cliffs. They basically said yes. These are like $1,000. Couple of those, yeah.
You want a motion?
What's the total cost of the feasibility study, Laura?
70,000.
And the 14,000 represents our 20%.
Our share.
You want to speak to the
I would move to pay $10,000 from the existing admin fund towards the B-Wall Trail, B-Wall feasibility study.
Second.
Leslie? Thank you.
That's A plus, yeah. Exercise.
See us on conservation.
Maybe that's one second.
Okay, all in favor of that motion? Unanimous, excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your support.
And one other related piece of business is Lori prepared a draft recommendation letter from our committee to Amanda Lewis, the Mass Trails Grant Program Director. And you'll have a copy. So, if you have any comment on it, please. But otherwise, I entertain a motion to approve us sending this letter.
I'll move.
Good. All in favor of sending the letter? We're in favor. And I will. Done.
Yeah.
Very good, thank you for your cooperation there. A few things, I was gonna recommend that we put the first week in March as a potential meeting. Then maybe some cleanup business or whatever, so okay with everybody's calendar.
Today,
March 5th.
Yep, some calendar.
So March 5th, 6 p.m. here again. We'll confirm. Let's just assume that will be, even if it's brief. And then
Consider doing it on Zoom since it's a quick and no public hearing, no?
next week. Sean,
Sean asked me that. He put me up there. What? You think it's a, all right, look guys? You think it's a democracy?
and then in my opinion, we've diligently reviewed the applications and the hearing. We could choose to close the hearing tonight, so we don't use that piece of business. Does everybody think? Close the open hearing portion. Our meetings are always open. Of course.
Move to close the hearing.
Thank you.
like, what was that?
Good guy.
Thanks.
A plus, A plus.
Yeah.
All around.
Who was the second?
They did.
Jeff. All in favor of closing the open hearing?
I think after 20 years,
Motion to adjourn.
parliamentary procedure.
Just, is there any remaining comment by anyone? Anyone in the public commenting? Anybody waiting? Hearing none?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Favors. Great meeting.